And we're live.
My great-grandpa was missing both of these fuckers and half of this guy. Like, I guess, 13% of people in Missouri, he got caught in a thresher, which threshes. That's what it always is.
Wait, what does a thresher do? Is it a farm equipment?
It's a farm tool, yeah. And
it threshes.
Yeah.
Is it like for hay?
It's like to work with hay and crops and whatnot. I don't even know if like thresher is the specific tool or if that's like what is called a broad range of things on the farm. I'm not a farmer, but that's what happened to him. He got it caught in like the fucking 40s and it just ripped off 2.5 of his fingers. And so then I had to get the talk in like 1994 of like, oh, you're going to see, your great grandpa. Don't mention the fact that he doesn't have a lot of fingers, or even better, mention it and he'll have a good time telling you a story. But it is weird, especially as a kid, to see that and just be like, that's wrong. That's not enough fingers.
When I was doing woodworking a lot, and I have been again recently, but like I had a lot of woodworking friends, and if there are these woodworking shows where typically you go and manufacturers like display their new equipment and things like that. A lot of things you could never afford. They're $250,000. And afterwards we'd meet up and eat lunch and hang out or whatever. Thing is, a lot of these people were missing fingers. And I often viewed it like, is this my future? And when I'm in
not
this,
reassuring.
yeah, I'm like, so I have this philosophy in the shop where I'm like, all right, if you're doing this, you need to do it in such a way that you could do it for 30 years in a row and not get hurt. There should be no chances, no hoping it goes right. No,
dude,
go on.
If you want to see why people lose their fingers to a threshing machine, just without any audio, let that video I just linked play, because the audio is literally the audio of a thresher running. But you'll immediately see why a wheat thresher often takes fingers.
Do we want to watch this in sync or no audio? Wax.
Yeah, everybody could probably watch it.
I don't think you need to sync it up.
Yeah, you could just play this.
You don't have to sync. You can just
it's immediately obvious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Within seconds. So for people that don't know, this thing looks a little bit like a wood chipper. Like if you may be watching this in the car,
it probably is essentially a wood chipper,
Yeah, like a repurposed.
And they're taking these bundles of wheat, it seems, and shoving them into the thresher. I don't know what comes out the other side, either bundled wheat or shredded wheat.
I think that they're maintaining the wheat part and getting rid of the stalk and everything else.
The chaff.
The chaff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it looks like you by hand take the wheat and just shove it into a wood chipper like thing.
At least he's got gloves on. Come on, Woody, he's being safe.
Did you see that story? I think the guy was in North Carolina too, where like on his first day we're working a wood chipper, a guy got sucked in.
Young guy, like 16, 17, head first.
Hand first.
No, feet first.
Hand
that's
first.
Right, feet first.
How did he go feet first? Did he jump in?
It wasn't his hand.
He was kicking a log. So there's like a log in there, and those things are working by like impelling, grinding wheels, and the log is jammed in there. So he's kicking it, and finally it goes all the way in, takes his foot, and starts sucking him in. I'm pretty sure it sucked him in most of the way, and then locked the machine down. And then his boss comes over, sees this, and has a heart attack and fucking dies right there.
Did the kid die?
Yes.
Holy shit.
I don't know if Kyle and I have this story different. I remember
there were 2 chipper incidents that happened within a few weeks of each other. So maybe I'm combining 2 stories, or maybe you are, or maybe we're both thinking about a very similar event. But yeah, I remember that. It was his first day on the job, and he was a young guy, like 16, 17.
So he's
dude, stories like that are so
19. And he, like Kyle was right, he got pulled feet first into a wood chipper, and the boss was so distressed by Cox's body that they ran around ripping their gloves and hats off, causing neighbors to think they were being attacked by bees. And I thought I read a thing about him having a heart attack too, but I'm not finding it.
Is that what the neighbors were doing? We should go help that boy who's stuck in the thresher, but there's a lot of bees over there.
I imagine them just like running around like no! What has happened to Billy?
Dude, that's upsetting because, like I'm trying to imagine myself as like a 17, 18, 19-year-old, and that's my summer job or whatever, and the guy's like, all right, fucking take all this big wood, throw it in there, crush it down, shred it, whatever, and then I'll be back in half an hour. And something gets stuck, and you're like, oh, fuck, it's like day one. I'm going to look like such an idiot. an asshole. I better just start like stomping and like get it through there. And then before you know it, you're literally dead. Like that freaks me out because I can just see myself doing something like that at that age.
The boss
don't
wasn't
like
so
machinery like
terrible.
that.
He assigned him a task that he thought was safe for a beginner. He was sandwiched by 2 more experienced guys. And in 26 years of doing this, only one other person has ever been injured.
It sounds to me like that was a dumb kid. I think your boy is slow.
He's slower now.
That Fargo reference. Yeah, he come on now. Like when I look at a wood chipper, I don't know if anybody here has ever worked with one, but like they are terrifying to even look at. Like I look at it with the same fear/respect that I do only a couple of tools and pieces of machinery. A metal lathe is one of them. When I see a metal lathe and I work on a metal lathe.
Wood lathe too.
It's this thing where like you know what to do and you know what your next move is. You know you're going to turn this dial this way and you're going to move this up the workpiece. You know what's next, but you still stop, look at your hands, get your gloves on tight if the job is glove appropriate. And a lot of those jobs are not glove appropriate and people don't know that. And you really think, all right, this is about to go there. It's turning counterclockwise. This many are okay. We're safe now. Because if you don't apply that level of concentration every fucking time you do it, if this is a job that you're going to do 1,000 times, 1,000 times, you just get sucked the fuck in and it skins you alive.
Can you say what a metal lathe is?
It is. It's
almost like a sideways drill press, but instead of a bit, it's like a giant piece of metal, often like 3 feet long. Yeah, and it spins metal sideways. So on a metal lathe, you typically have some automated thing that spins. They call it a tool. You know, it's a pointy little thing, and it chips away at the metal. And you can like make a lamp or something with decorative things.
Oh, okay. So when like you watch those like the banisters in a wood
sure
stairway, they do it with the wood, and they kind of like make a pattern with the little rod. Okay,
yeah, it's a similar type thing, except in the metal world, it's usually a little more automated and precise. In the wood world, there's usually like a guy with a tool.
Much more powerful. Like I don't know what the horsepower and gear ratios are exactly, but it would be like comparing a drill press. I think of most wood lathes, maybe because my wood lathes were never like top tier wood lathes, but they got like a few horsepower, like a couple or something like that. It's sort of similar to a drill press, but like my metal. The forces are. Did I break up or something?
For a moment, you did.
No, you're good. Oh no, maybe I messed it up.
I was just gonna say that the fucking metal lathe is a kind of. I don't know if you guys want to watch this video of someone being killed by a metal lathe. That seems a little gory.
Is there one of just someone being grievously injured? So we can tie it back into.
I'll watch it till it gets crazy. I'll watch it.
I mean, I'll watch it. It's not. This isn't my first time watching someone die on the internet casually.
Right.
Okay. Well, I don't know if this is. I haven't watched this before, but I usually don't like them. But it'll give you an idea of what a metal lathe is if you're interested in that.
Oh, now that I know what I'm going to watch, I don't know if I.
Jesus Christ, I'm watching
it. This isn't. I'm just getting still pictures.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this is probably some graphic content. But,
I'm not showing this on the show, but I'll describe it. There is a person. It looks like he wore long sleeves, and the long sleeves got wrapped up by the piece of metal. And this is an issue. Like I work with equipment a lot where it's so strong that human body doesn't have much impact on slowing it down. Like my tractor is a really good example. If you were to hold or get caught up by that PTO shaft, it would spin, and like what a human has to offer wouldn't even slow it down. So that's what happened to this guy. He's on a big, strong machine. It looked like his clothing got wrapped around the workpiece. And therefore his arm, like it's not just broken, it's liquefied almost. Like it's just wrapped around. It's like taffy. And the guy's dead, so he doesn't really care about his arm. But
yeah, it's like he's still being held in a standing position by being so taut in this lathe. Like that
up to his shoulder, it's just taffy wrapped around a workpiece.
The horror of such a thing. I don't even want to go into thinking, because it's pulling tendons and veins and stuff and out of his body and wrapping those as well, as you would imagine. It's just so horrible. I don't even like thinking about the intricacies of that injury and what went on. It's terrible. So like I've got a metal lathe. I don't fuck with that thing. I don't want to. If I need something done on that, I'll hire somebody to come do it, or I'll just go to a machine shop. But I don't want any part of that thing. It's just too dangerous to fuck with. I get absent-minded and I daydream sometimes when I work. And that's a job that you could be standing over that lathe for an hour doing something. I can concentrate for 20 minutes long enough to set a detonator and do that right. But I don't want to be sitting there for 2 fucking hours grinding the same piece, the same motion over and over. I could forget and get sucked in. It could happen.
Yeah, that's terrifying. There has to be a way to make that safer. Like, is there?
Well,
Can they,
there's
like, put a shield up or something?
Well, so there's CNC machines that are completely automated. You know, they do everything without any input. But the quality, you know, the thing about a machinist is he can go in there and take a cylinder of aluminum and turn it into an intricate thing. He can bore out the center. There's so many different tools that the lathe can utilize. It can bore out the inside of things. It can shape them in ways you wouldn't imagine. It's how you make things. It's a maker type tool. It's a base level tool where you're starting with just a piece of stock, just a piece of cylindrical aluminum or steel or really anything, because those things have carbide cutting teeth or whatever.
Yeah,
you can turn it into anything.
I watch guys on YouTube, and it's interesting. They're like, hey, you know what? I need a shifter knob for this thing. So they just take a piece of aluminum, shape it like a shifter knob, thread the inside by operating the lathe very perfectly, and all of a sudden you have a threaded shifter knob that he just puts in place. And if you're good at it, there's nothing you couldn't make. You
can make screws, if you need to. You can make bolts with it if you need to. You can make the things that make things with a thing like a metal lathe.
When you see I'm sorry, I cut you off. I was going to something else. Go ahead.
I don't think.
I was done. No, you're good.
Yeah. About the dead body thing we were looking at. I just was curious, like, how similar you guys are to me with this. So when I see dead bodies and I know that person didn't wake up that morning being like, I'm going to kill myself or like whatever. And you just see like an accident happen. Like, one of my first thoughts is always like, I'll look at like their pants or their shoes or their shirt or something and just be like, man, this guy had no idea that this was going to be the last time he put pants on. Like, this is going to be the last time he'd put shoes on. The last time he brushed his teeth. Do you think like that too? Like,
yeah.
I bet you this guy probably wishes he would have wore a tank top that day.
I bet.
Swags, man.
Because he's dead. Yeah.
I like that. That's a good one. Yeah. We had a guy in machine shop with long hair, like down to here, and he would wear it long like he was fucking Jesus Christ or something. And our shop teacher, like, one day he was like, "Come here, let me show you something." And he put in the gore video. And it was some shit like that. He was like, and there's a guy whose hair gets sucked in and it scalps him and rips his face and like turns him into the Red Skull from the Marvel movies, basically. And he's like, that's what's going to happen to you. He's like, I've seen you lean over that workpiece. I've seen your hair be this close, and that's all it takes. He's like, that will be you. And next day, ponytail. I think he was in a ponytail and tucked in the back of his shirt, and he was over there working with a ponytail, and it was a better look for him anyway because he was on a one-way street to being a no face.
Like, what's your first thought though when you see a dead body like that? Like, is it something banal like that, or that's the last time that guy put on those glasses?
Time to death. Time to death is what I'm looking at. I want to know, like, because there could be an awful looking corpse, right? Like, let's say you jumped out of a building and you're smushed, right? Your whole body, which was normally a foot thick, is now 3 inches thick, right? It looks a mess. And I look at that and think, that looks bad, but it was not a bad way to die. He went from live to dead in a heartbeat. And that's not so awful. When I see that guy, I'm like, he kind of died from the arm down. Right? He might have died over the course of 25 minutes where people were like, I don't know how to extract him from this machine. He bled out. I'm sure he was in shock.
Yeah, I bet he bled out pretty quick.
That's his head crushed. Like the last picture not the last picture, but the one before, right? That's his fucking head that went through that thing, crushed.
Is it? I need to look again.
Right?
It's almost, you can not even like recognize some of those body parts because it's just a pulp.
But you can see his hair, like not the last one, but the one above the last one. That's his head, right?
Yeah, it's almost like, like a hematoma.
Right.
Is hematoma the right word? Not hema, because hema means blood. But whatever
hematoma is
where it's like a bunch of teeth and hair and like nails and shit that grow.
Oh, like one of those tumors that grows.
Like
teeth
one of those
and
tumors. That's what it looks like. It looks like just an amalgamation of
You're
people
right.
parts.
He did die quickly based on that head trauma.
I think when you see something like that, you can't help but the first thing you think is like, you think, what if that was me? I mean, when I see that guy's head, I'm like, I think of if my head was put through a fucking thing and then crushed like that. Like,
Wouldn't be that bad.
Anytime you fucking drive a car, you know what I mean? This shit happens all the time.